Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. All those who are joining from the various time zones for this webinar. Thank you for joining us today. In continuation with our previous efforts to conduct webinars that are useful to developers and explore use cases of Creator that go beyond what is traditionally thought of as possible, we have another episode in which we're going to explore how complex reports can be built using a Zoho Creator and a Zoho Writer integration. With respect to this use case, we have seen several conversations on the community forums as well as tickets and support, specifically with companies that deal with reports as documents. I think in the digital age, and working for a software product company, most of what we deal with is almost always online. Online in the sense is part of a particular application, but then we do realize that when enterprises deal with documents, they they actually deal with proper documents and not just reports that are generated in an analytical purpose. So this will require that various formats and various types of arrangement of data be supported, and that is what this topic is going to explore during this webinar. With respect to our presenter, I'd like to introduce Steve Shepard, who is part of 100 Rares, which is a Zoho partner. Steve has been working with Creator for several years, and he has particular knowledge in terms of product management and his product Scaflog, um, which is specific to which focuses on the scaffolding industry, is what has given him insight into such use cases for document handling and management. So he's going to be talking about this. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Steve Shepard.
Great. Well, welcome to this session on integrating Creator and Writer. My name's Steve Shepard, based in New Zealand, and started in computing back in 1987, which makes me a little bit old. I've been 34 years in the industry and had in software development, and we've done 15 or so different industries where we've developed software in. Started out with COBOL, Arev, Advanced Revelation, FoxPro, did some work in PHP and Rails and JavaScript and Python. There's been a bit of a theme in my career of using languages that are low code, I guess. In the 90s, FoxPro and Advanced Revelation were products that were deemed to be low code, although the word didn't exist back then. So I've had a sort of a long association with, I guess, trying to cheat the development cycle. And using ways to build solutions quickly. The current company that I founded and started back in 2013 is called 100 Rails, and the first major brand that we built is a product called Scaflog in the construction industry and scaffolding. And we have thousands of users, a number of clients across New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and now the US as well. So we're pushing Creator to its limits. If any of you don't know where New Zealand is, let's put a little graphic. It's at the bottom of the world, down there where the little red circle is. So we're one of the southernmost countries in the world, population of about 5 million. And luckily, we don't have COVID at all in our countries. I hope everybody's been able to handle that side of things. So today's talk is about why why we should connect Creator with Zoho Writer. So the first why that we decided was that from our customers and the application that we built, we needed something that could handle very complex data structures. The reporting's form for doing single records in Creator is okay, and it's quite adequate for simple form-based reports. However, our requirements saw that we had data from a number of different forms and with different relationships and lookups and different fields. And we also needed more complex reporting formats with images and headers that would stay on pages and footers that would stay on pages. And then we also needed if then else type scripting, so we could show sections of report or not show sections. We also wanted to be able to produce multiple document formats. So some of our customers would want it in PDF form, and then others would want them in Microsoft Word format. So Word was out of the question with the default report forms in Creator. So we actually started with a product called WebMerge and didn't realize that Writer could do what we wanted. But eventually we found the documentation for Zoho Writer, the Zoho Writer API, and realized that we could actually replace out WebMerge with Zoho Writer completely. So some of that story I'll talk a bit about today. And that last point there was the ability to provide reports as links, not just as attachments. Some of the forms and reports that we were producing had a lot of images, and if you've done any work with images in Zoho, they can get quite big on smartphones nowadays. I'll talk a bit about some of the things that we've done to handle that as well, but the PDFs were starting to get quite large, and if you're doing a lot of reports, you've got limits of 20 meg, 25 megabytes with attachments on emails. So having the ability to put links in an email that you send with a link to that report, and then people can download it or in whatever format they like, was quite an attractive type of concept. So what are we going to talk about today? So talked a bit about the why. We're going to talk about JSON a little bit and how we use that to pass all this information to Zoho Writer. Then we'll dive into an actual real demo of what we're doing. We'll talk a bit about the magic of how we do this and the functions that we've developed, and I'm going to give to you in a GitHub repository. We'll dive across into a live demo of Zoho Writer and how it looks and what we change and use in Zoho Writer to do this. And we'll actually have a look at modifying a template. And then finally, we'll just wrap up with some of the limitations of what we've done and also what we're thinking of doing in the future. And we'll have a Q&A as well. So, JSON. Any of you that are old enough, it's not Jason from Friday the 13th. JSON is a format of data passing where you can pass information from one solution to another using what's commonly called as APIs, application programming interfaces. And most modern web-based solutions now use APIs. So just a bit of a refresher on JSON. Step 0, if you're a developer, you know why I've called it step 0. So in the JSON format, it's very text-based, and how it works is that you have lists and you have maps. Lists are the square bracket approach, and a list contains rows of similar data, and the map contains data where on the left is the name of the field or element that you're passing or sending to the other system, and then on the right is the actual data. So it means you can, it's self-defining. So the metadata or the field information is on the left, and then the actual data is on the right. And the data on the right can be strings, like this is string data, but it also can be dates, it can be numbers, it can also be rich text that's encoded. So you can pass lots of different types of information. And then at the other end, when you pass the string of information, the other program can just read the names, and it can then extract the data. Zoho Creator has a number of tools for working with this type of data. And the first one I started with was the map. So this is the one that defines the field name on the left and the data on the right. So here I've set a variable to what is called a map. And the map is like a collection or an object type. And then I've defined this. So I then say, put this job number field and set it to this record field name here. So in previous pieces of code, I have fetched the data record from the jobs file into the variable called jobrec, and then I'm using dot notation to find the quote job number field and stick that or put it into this object. So I'll put the job number, the job name, then I've done dates and end dates, and then here's a bit more complicated one where I'm calling a function called getNow, which returns a date actually, and then I'm converting it to a string using the ability to format the date into a date and time. So that is the map is effectively setting up the record of information, and the list is the rows of data. So map is the inside record and list is the rows of data. So here I've fetched the jobs with branch equal to local town. This is just an example. I've set a collection called line items equal to a list, and then the line item equals map. And then I'm iterating for each job record in the job records collection. I'm putting the name into this list called line items. And so that line item map is going inside the line items list. And then I'm setting another collection to the whole list as well. So the concept is that you're iterating through rows of data and putting it in as a list, and then you've got maps within that list row. So it's a way of iterating a lot of data into the JSON format. So what I do now, I thought, is actually show you the end result so that you can get an idea of what and why we've done this. So I'm just going to pop out. Right, so we're now in one of our solutions, Scaflog, and this is just test data. So I don't mind you guys having a look at this. So our Scaflog product is aimed at niches within the construction sector, and this one's for scaffolding. So scaffolding companies, you've probably seen them. They put gear up around a house so that you can do your painting or build walls or build a new house and that sort of thing. So they've got components of quoting and scheduling and tracking jobs, doing checklists and forms, recording time, and then generating invoices from all that. So we've built a solution that is all integrated with Zoho and built an interface using the Zoho product. And you're looking at that solution here. So I'm just going to search for a job. So I've searched for a job and I'm going to edit the quote on this one. And we've used Zoho Pages to build this sort of an interface. And this is a quote or a job that someone's going to do at the brick house at the mega factory, and it's got different phases of work. So there's a scaffold to the east and a scaffold to the west, and then they're going to put some panels up and then do edge protection to level 1 and edge protection to a level 2. And then we've got all the charges of information on the right hand side. Now I'm now going to preview a quote, and this is what we've done with the integration to Zoho Writer. So what the system is doing is it's loading a Zoho form in a pop-up dialog, and it's making a call with some of the functions that I'm going to show you to the Zoho Writer product, and it's passing the JSON data from Zoho Creator into the Zoho Writer product. And so we've got a normal Zoho form. This is a stateless form, and we've embedded an iframe into that, which shows the Zoho Writer formatted template. And at the end, the statement I make is that it's not fast, but it's beautiful. So the format that we've been able to achieve using the Zoho Writer product means that we can do different templates for our clients, because every client we have requires different proposal formats, and so we can build those. So this allows the users of our product to then be able to download the quotes as Word documents or PDFs and rich text files, and you can even do EPUBs. And then we've built a whole wraparound service around the documents that get created, that we can then put a message from our system. You can say, "Hi, John, this is the quote." Down the bottom here, we've added some abilities to do a zip file. We can also attach documents from within the record, and they can pick photos that they want to send with the email and the proposal. So we've got code that will then wrap all this information up and the Zoho Writer report, and send it as an email to our clients, so they can get the PDF proposal, and they can get attachments. So that's one of the use cases that we have for doing this integration. We have a couple more that I'll talk about towards the end of the demo. So let's flip back to the presentation. Div, has there been any questions so far?
Yeah, we have 2 questions. I think we can take them. But you'll have to. Should I read it out, or do you want to go to Showtime for that?
I think, Steve, you can see it on your left-hand panel under the questions tab.
He'll have to go to Showtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Damien, I will show you how we embed iframes. Yeah, I will show you that in the code in a minute. How many APIs are used for this integration? Yes, Harshit, that is also an issue. The best thing to do is to monitor how many calls that you do use. I'm going to talk a bit about the usage credits. So there's API calls on the creator side, and there's also, you actually have to buy API calls on the writer side. But these products are fairly affordable, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Troy, when you talk about forms, are you referring to putting a Zoho form into Zoho Writer? No, the forms I'm talking about are forms inside Creator, and they pull the information as a link into Creator from Zoho Writer. So I'll show you some of the code so you can see how that actually works. The page seen in the demo is an HTML page. So this is a form. This is actually a stateless form from Zoho Creator, and this here is the embedded iframe that contains the report from Zoho Writer. So this is a link to the Zoho Writer system, and I will, let me just flick into the code here. So Damien's question around how you actually embed an iframe in a form. So in the onload, so what we've done is we've built a form. Where's the form? So here's the email or preview form, and it's just got some fields that we hide. Here's the field that we use to store the emails to send. Some preview types so we can generate different types of documents. Here's that click button that we use to add a message. There's the custom message, which is a rich text field. And then down here, we've got a notes field. So we added a special field called a notes field in here, and we gave it a name called preview frame. And then in the onload code, where are we back here? In the onload code, we set up the JSON that is required to be passed through to Zoho Writer. And then we fill that, we fill the notes field with iframe code. Now, I don't know whether this is supposed to work or not, but we got it working. My developer, Alex, brilliantly found this way of actually embedding into the actual stateless form. And we just pass it the iframe HTML, give it a width and give it a height. The source is the link to the, so in Zoho Writer, when you generate a merged document, the merged document comes back with a public link, and then that public link we copy in here as the source. and then wrap it with the iframe, and then it displays in that format. So yeah, it's a fairly simple process. This is a function that we developed that we pass map variables to. So I've open sourced all these. They're going to be available on GitHub. So in here we are calling this function called merge document with a request variable. So there's the request map that we've been setting up. And we pass that through to this function called merge document. We make a connection to writer, which is this function here, get connection. So this is available too. And once we go through this code, it sets up the connection, merges the document, and then we get this, so everybody can see that. Then we get the URL to the public document that gets created. We call a post URL, which sends the JSON and the data through to the merge document, and then we can get a response code back from writer to say whether it merged it properly or not. We also get we also fill the public URLs that we can get back from this merge process, and we put them into our own data as a result of the merge. So we're testing here for whether the merge actually worked, because it returns a code of 200 if it was a success. And so we then populate our own request with fields that we get back from the call. The merge, where it is, the connection. So in the get connection, this is using the new creator OAuth connection. What's it doing that for? So what we have done is we've got one user in Zoho Writer that we do the authentication with, and then we authenticate. We've got the authentication tokens stored in our service, and then we call that service using that authentication token. So this code here shows how you make that connection to the Zoho Writer product, and we have written code here to test whether the authentication token is valid or not, and then we've returned that connection back to the previous function. So the next aspect I want to go over is the JSON format and the raw data that gets passed over to Zoho Writer from Creator. So in the JSON that we're preparing, Zoho Writer requires the JSON to be in a certain format. So when you pass the JSON, you have to create a JSON field or list. This one's a list, so it's got square brackets. So inside that list is the a map called ID, and then the name, and then a display name, and then a type, and then you can embed related data. So I'm in this example here, I'm doing the client name and the client address, and then within the client name and the client address, I've got multiple client contacts. So this client contacts field is defined with an ID and a display name, but it's got a type of related list. And so then when you are in the merge template, you can put your client name as a merge field, but you can then also have multiple client contacts. And the template will allow you to then iterate through multiple records that are linked to that particular client. So in this case, these client contacts have a full name, first name, last name, email, and phone. So it allows you to have multiple contacts related to one client. So you need to form this raw JSON to start with manually to do the template design, and I'll show you how that works now. So once you have connected to Zoho Writer and you've connected the JSON source, you get the ability to format that JSON that comes in, and you can do formatting on it. So let's dive into the real thing. Here we go. Okay, so this is Zoho Writer, and you'd normally start in Zoho Docs. So Zoho Docs can store documents and also merge templates. So the merge templates are just in open document format or Microsoft Word format. So you can upload a Microsoft Word document to start with. So if you've got a client that has got their formatted report done already in Word, you can upload that and then just start putting the merge tokens against it. So that's what we do with most of our clients. And so normally you'll start, in fact, most of the time when you open a document to start with, it'll come up like this. Then you've got your left-hand menu with different abilities, similar to Google Docs or Microsoft 365. The Zoho Writer product is very flexible in terms of being able to build different designs. And you can, when you click on the template, you can resize things and move things around. It's just drag and drop, right? Most things are left clickable. But you can see in here that we have merge tokens, and we've also got tables. So within the merge template, you can have your standard fields here, and this one's been formatted in a table. But this one here is an iterating table, and so let's dive into the actual merge part of Zoho Writer. So if we click on Automate. So in the Automate area, you've got three different options: merging templates, form-driven templates, and signing of templates. So to start with, we'll just go into merge templates. So when you're doing the merge template side of things, you basically, that raw JSON that I was talking about, you load that into your data source here, and then it populates what's called main fields. So if you remember in my couple of slides back, I talked about the client name, the client address, and then I also talked about the contacts. So in the subfields area, you get into the contacts, right? So if you can remember that I actually called it client, but that should actually be called contacts. But then you've got full name, first name, last name, email, phone. So these are like JSON lists within the main list that are related to the data that comes through from Zoho Creator. And then you can just, if you pick the fields, you can insert as a simple repeatable block, repeat as table rows, repeat as table columns and repeat as table cells. So this is the part that inserts these smartly into your document with the ability to repeat and iterate. Have we got any questions? Because some of this is starting to get into tricky stuff. Okay.
Steve, there are, I think there are many questions, so probably we'll take it at the end.
Yeah, I think we'll need to take it at the end because we'll start running out of time. Okay, so so that's the format. I've taken that template that I showed in that real example here. The top part has the table. The bottom part has these if then else statements. And I'm starting to use this for future where we can put signing into Zoho Writer. So let's just jump back to the product again and switch down here. So here, in here with Zoho Writer and merge templates, you can put conditions. So the JSON that you're passing, I am testing here to say if the special terms field is not empty, then display all the stuff that's in between there and the end else. So it's very flexible for formatting and allows you to do some very powerful types of reports depending on conditions and information that you're passing through to the system. I'm going to show you later briefly some other more complex reports that we have done and some of the use cases for those reports. And I'll talk about the reasons why in a minute. So that's how we do it, and the two sides of the coin. So there's preparing the data in Creator and embedding that form in Creator. Then there's creating the template inside Writer and merging or attaching the data sources so that you can create your template. And then by merging the two with the API connection, you can produce some quite stunning reporting results. I've done the demo. Okay, so as I said, it's not lightning fast, but it is beautiful. So on average, we've seen those templates being generated in about 7 to 8 seconds, which is not that fast, but it's the result is amazing for customers. Number 2 there is usage and purchasing merge credits. So as said before, there are you've got API calls that you've got to pay for on the creator side, but you've also got to have, if you're doing a lot, you've got to have merge credits on the Zoho Writer. So you get, when you buy a Zoho Writer package, you get so many merges that you can do with each standard package. I think I've got the, let me just have a look. So this is what the usage report on the Writer admin panel looks like. So you can see how many merges are happening. You get a graph of how many merges are occurring in the system. You get the ability to buy more credits, and you can see how many credits you've got left. So depending on the plan that you buy, you get so many credits per month, but you can buy additional credits if you're using it heavily. But it's still a very affordable product. For comparison, I don't want to give Zoho Writer too much. I don't want them to increase the price, but WebMerge, we are spending $600 or $700 a month US on on the web merge product for doing merges. We're going to probably be spending between $100 and $200 on the merging with the Zoho Writer product. So we're a SaaS product. If we can reduce our costs on the platform side, then that adds up to more profit on a monthly basis. Large JSON loads. So as I said, if you're passing a lot of data to Zoho Writer, it can be a bit slow. One of the technical limitations of Zoho Writer is its 40-second timeout on API calls. One of our developers has written a AWS Lambda function in Python to get around that. And if any of you want to, just reach out and I'm happy to provide that. I won't put that on the GitHub because it's not creator language, it's actually Python and stuff. But the timeout in creator has been a bit of an issue with large data sets. And the reason you pass large data sets is for more complex reports. So here is a report that we've done for a client. Now this is table data. And if you scroll down here, you can see how this is a lot of data being passed to Writer from Creator. One of the things that we're talking to Zoho Writer support about is this painting that's going on when you've got large JSON loads that you've sent through to Writer. It seems to take a while to paint the report at the bottom. So it's not a major drama, but from here, you can then download these reports as Word documents or PDFs, again, like I did with the quote proposal. So, and the reason we've done this format is you can see that we're pulling data from, I'll scroll to the top where the headings are. We're pulling data from multiple subforms. We're doing lots of calculations. We're accumulating dollar values from different areas. So yeah, it's quite complex in that respect. So we've actually built schedules and back-end processes. Because some of the reports that we're trying to generate take a while, so we've built scheduling abilities. So we have like a queuing system where the front end will say, okay, do this report, and it sticks it into a schedule and it runs it on the back end with schedules. And then some of the things that we're looking at in the future with some of those more complex reports is integrating with products like Zoho Analytics. And where have I got Zoho Analytics? So if you haven't heard of Zoho Analytics, you might want to check it out. So Zoho Analytics, you can pass, again, you can connect to it with an API. It's like a data warehousing product, and you can do all sorts of pivoting and charts. Zoho Creator uses a subset of the Zoho Analytics product. But the Zoho Analytics product is much better in total for doing reporting with. And then we're going to be building data warehouses for each of our clients so they can do their own types of reports with the data that we're sending from Creator. And also briefly touched on Zoho Sign. So Zoho Sign is another product that Zoho have, one of their millions that they provide. And if you've used products like Adobe or EchoSign, you should have a look at Zoho Sign because it integrates with a lot of the Zoho products, and it integrates natively with Zoho Writer. So looking at the demo here, these fields here are Zoho Sign fields. So you can with proposals, we're going to integrate Zoho sign fields so that when we send proposals to our clients, it will use the Zoho sign product to do the sending and the capturing of signatures at the other end for proposals, and then Zoho sign passes control back to Zoho Writer and can return you the PDF signed as a final document. So you've got complete electronic capture of signatures. You can have people filling out fields with Zoho Sign. So rather than PDFs that you're sending as proposals, they would go as a Zoho Sign link, and then it uses the Zoho Sign interface to capture those signatures. So we haven't finished that part yet, but our clients are looking forward to being able to have proposals signed, because some of these proposals are multi-$100,000 deals and they need signatures. So shall we have a look at questions?
Yeah, Steve, let's wait for people to add in questions here.
Shall I bring them up, Div? Or
Yeah, you'll have to switch your tab.
So the oldest one's at the bottom.
I think we can start. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Damien, yes, so the iframe is done. Have you done something similar with Zoho Sheets? No, not yet, but Zoho Sheets does have an API, so we have thought about that. Which order are these in?
So the ones on the top are the oldest one, and the ones on the bottom are the latest ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the menu. I don't know what "and the menu" means. Do your customers need access logins to Zoho Writer, or all documents are public? So no, you don't need logins to Zoho Writer. The documents that are created are public documents and they don't require a login. That's how we can embed them into Creator without logins. Can you show the merge fields that were used in Zoho Writer template? No, we didn't choose the merge field source as Zoho Writer. We chose it as JSON that you upload from your computer. So that's why I talked about creating the raw JSON data that you store locally. When you then import that JSON, then you can create your template. Because what we want to do is pass the data as JSON through the API to the template. The template then merges using the API commands that we pass, and then it returns a link to the created document in the end. Are there any permission issues around a writer integrations? Do creator permissions extend, or do all the writer documents have to be public? So in the API, you get private and public links to every document that you merge. So we have just chosen to use the public links to embed into the iframes. Does the public document mean that anybody with the link can access it? Yes, it does. If you send that public link to people, anybody can read it. However, we are embedding it in an iframe inside a stateless form in Creator, so they can't see the link. But if you were emailing those public links as reports, then yes, people could get to them. We usually use HTML to ultimately generate the reports in PDF. What would you estimate the time it takes to create each template and solution? That depends. Most of the time, our support team. So the reason I wanted to do this was I've got a developer team and I've got a support team. and the support team work with our clients to set up Scaflog with their proposals, their invoice formats, their checklists and stuff. And I wanted a way for our support team to be able to create these documents, these templates, without having to involve the developing team. So to answer your question in short, once the integration is built, actually changing merge templates can take 10 or 15 minutes once you've, like, for example, for that quote, it's very quick. You have answered the Sheets one. What are the default writer credits? It depends on the plan. I think it's sort of like between 300-400 and 1,000 credits, depending on the plan size. It's on the Zoho Writer website under pricing. Can we choose to limit download to only one format? That's a good question. I don't know that one. There'll be some documentation. I doubt it, but it's worth checking the documentation out for that one. How was the menu page in Zoho Creator for the first demo? Okay, so this one here. So we built this menu from, these are the standard Zoho Writer menus up the top here. And then this is a HTML page with embedded iframes. Yeah, we've written some special code to do this type of approach, and you just click different tags and it loads different. We found putting the buttons up here for people to click on was quite a nice way to for them to interact with the system. At the risk of asking a newbie question, can you show the places the code you showed us needs to be entered? Yep. Well, the functions need to be in the functions area of the workflow area. So so here's the functions in the workflow. So the functions that I've given you in the GitHub repository, they can be put into the functions area. To embed that iframe, you'll need to go into the design area of a form and add the notes field there as well. So that's where you put those. I think that might be it, Div.
I think we can end the session right now. So this is the GitHub link that Steve was talking about, and we will be posting this in the community forums comments section. Once the recording is live, the video also will be embedded in the community post. So please contact hello@Zoho Creator, or if you are a developer, it could be certification@zohocreator.com if you have any further questions. Thank you so much for joining us.